As spirits in the material world, human beings are often preoccupied with the material needs and desires of life. You can see this not only in the content of advertisements and the cultural obsession with obtaining more they stimulate, but also in the ways in which most people only think about the tools and talents of the physical world to prosper. In this edition of the Temporal Reverie, I want to continue exploring the process of manifestation by which we can tap into divine creativity to attract our desires and transform the conditions of our lives. Previously, I've talked about the connection between our consciousness and the mind of God, and how the illusions of our reality, including the so-called laws of nature, are subject to our influence. I've also talked about the law of attraction and its central teaching that thoughts become things, which is both true and also insufficient to ensure success. Thoughts must also receive the creative energy that comes from engaging our emotions in the belief that what we want is possible. What must happen last is something to trigger a shift in the state of reality that transforms the unseen potential of thought and faith into physical expression. In physics, a tipping point is the place at which a thing is displaced from one state of stable equilibrium into another equilibrium that is qualitatively different from the one it possessed before. So in purely physical terms, something needs to tip the nearly finished potential reality you're manifesting so that the equilibrium it finds next is its unfolded expression in the theater of experience. In short, it needs a push. What most people overlook or don't understand about manifestation is this last part of the process, the tipping point that provides that needed push: commitment. The fact that a lot of people are marketing things they claim will give you the key to success with the law of attraction shows there's more than merely daydreaming about everything you want. You can make vision boards with loads of pictures, listen to subliminal meditation programs filled with affirmations, and tap acupressure points to drive away your doubts until your face is numb. But all that leaves out the final, inescapable part of the process. A change in state has to take place. Something that shifts your desires from something potential to something produced. What do I mean by a change in state? Let's use the example of water. Water exists in one of three forms that are quite different from one another. There is liquid water, the fluid form that comes to mind first when we speak of water. Then there is the crystalline form we call ice, and then there's the vaporous shape that water can take that we call steam. How does water change from one of these states into another? At first glance, the answer to that question is obvious: heat energy. Within a range of temperatures, water exists as liquid. Hotter than that and it becomes steam, colder than that and it becomes ice. While that easy answer works well enough, the truth is a little more nuanced than that. You see, water can and does exist in liquid form at both freezing and boiling temperatures. Simply cooling water to 0 degrees Celsius isn't enough to freeze it. A little more energy has to be pulled from liquid water at that temperature to freeze it as ice. The extra energy you have to remove is called the latent heat of crystallization. The same thing happens at the boiling point. Liquid water at 100 degrees Celsius isn't quite ready to boil. A little more extra energy, called the latent heat of vaporization, has to be added to get the change in state to occur. It's the same with manifesting. Our belief-energized thoughts quiver at the very edge of reality, dancing nervously to receive a little extra something that starts the reaction that shifts them from the unseen domain of consciousness into the tangible expression found in the theater of experience. Commitment is the extra step needed, the push that sets a chain reaction of manifestation in motion. In one of the films bearing the title character's name, Indiana Jones is faced with the task of saving his father's life. To heal his mortally wounded father, Indy has to confront and overcome obstacles between him and the cup used by Jesus at the Last Supper. And one of these obstacles is an immense chasm he has to cross that's too large to leap over or swing across with no place to grab on with his bullwhip. Seeing no way across, Indy is faced with a crisis. His senses tell him that simply walking out into nothingness is fatal, but with no other options, he takes the only action he can if he wants to succeed. He lifts one foot, swings his leg forward, and boldly takes a terrifying step. Miraculously, his foot solidly stops short on an invisible bridge across the expanse. But the only way for him to learn that that was there was to suppress all doubt and commit himself fully. Taking a risky step in faith is what commitment is all about. Previously, I spoke about how the belief connects the creative engine of divine consciousness to the vehicle of your thoughts. But before that hot rod budges toward the finish line of reality from potentiality, something has to step on the accelerator. You can believe with all your heart that your desires can and will become real, investing that belief with every bit of your emotion. But the divine source needs to see that you're serious, that you mean business about making this happen. As Henry Ford said, you can't build a reputation on what you are planning to do. Commitment is more than faith. It's faith demonstrated by actions. This process of demonstration is critical in a few respects. First and most obviously is a practical dimension. When you commit to making something real, the choice to act on that belief puts you in a frame of mind to be on the lookout for any opportunity, resources, prospects, and opportunities that contribute to success. When you commit to manifesting a better job, you start doing. You search job ads and postings, update your resume, perhaps buy new clothes for interviews, do some professional networking. All of those things prepare you to take advantage of the right job opening as soon as it presents itself. All of those actions not only demonstrate your commitment, they each have a practical value all their own. You take ownership of the process and the result. But these steps have more than a practical value. Indeed, their practical value on manifesting your desires may not be the most important effect they produce. Action helps you see yourself moving closer to the reality you want, reinforcing and even amplifying your belief in a successful result. Since belief is what draws the power of source consciousness into manifestation, enhancing your belief only adds to the power you have already put behind your wish fulfilled. It starts to make the emotion of success increasingly tangible rather than imagined. But commitment, real commitment, is more than just taking steps forward. It's a process by which you tip the balance of manifestation beyond the point of no return. Win or lose, there's no going back, no backing down, no change of heart. Like Indiana Jones at the chasm, you push past your comfort zone so far that your spiritual center of gravity leaves you no place to go but forward, whatever the result. In the words of Scottish mountaineer W. H. Murray, until one is committed there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. To put it another way, God helps those who help themselves. I tend to see manifestation like investments. If you found an investment in the markets that was absolutely a sure thing with huge returns, why wouldn't you invest everything you could into it for maximum return? The universe returns dreams fulfilled to you in proportion to the investment of yourself you make in those dreams. After all, if you won't invest in your dreams, why should the universe? I knew a guy who kept saying he wanted to be an internet entrepreneur, had this idea for generating self-renewing streams of income from content-based websites. He knew where to get basic web templates for this kind of business, knew how to define market niches, all that stuff. Clearly, he'd given this a lot of thought, but there was very little action. He didn't download one of those templates, much less turn it into just one of the sites he boasted could be turned out at the pace of one a month. He didn't register any web domains for them. He didn't intend to produce the content, but even so, didn't do any networking to identify people who would partner with him to provide the content he needed. In short, this was someone with a lot of thought that never became a single thing. But he's also a huge fan of the law of attraction, and this disconnect between what he said he believed and his constant frustration at not manifesting the car, traveling money, and so forth really baffled me. So I started watching more closely to see if I could suss out where he was going wrong. And in time, it became clear. What he left out was commitment. For a while, I chalked up his example as one of a stereotypical guy who was commitment phobic or somehow unable to commit. But then I started to recognize something from his story that switched on a realization about a great many people, including myself. One day, a mutual acquaintance and I were talking about how he didn't seem to be going anywhere, just drifting through life, getting by, but not getting what he wanted. As I was sharing my conviction that his problem was a lack of commitment, there was something about the words I chose just then that caused me to see matters a little differently. Trying to make a joke, I said, from what I can tell, the only thing he seems to be able to commit to is nothing at all. The truth in those words pointed to something I hadn't seen before. He was able to commit. He did commit. The question was not whether or not he could or would commit at all, but rather to what was he committed. You see, life is full of choices that we either make consciously or make by default. Even refusing to make a choice is a choice all its own. Not committing to something concrete and identifiable isn't a lack of commitment, but rather a decision to commit to nothing at all. Understanding that was when it dawned on me that what you manifest is a return on the investment and commitment. The degree of your success is often a reflection of the size of your investment. Commit very little of yourself, and small success or partial success is what you can expect in return. Big returns take a big investment. And if what you decide to commit to is nothing, what you will manifest is no thing. All of this has led me to supplement the standard manifesting mantra that thoughts become things with a mantra of my own. You get that to which you commit. If you have great dreams, but in the end all you're willing to commit to is just dreams, then the dreams alone will be all you manifest. Perhaps that's all you need to be happy or fulfilled. For over 20 years now, I nursed along ideas for several novels that I've done nothing with but draft some outlines or character sketches. I did a lot of thinking about those novels, but thinking alone didn't get one of them written. Finally, I realized I wasn't committed to writing novels, but just imagining them. Not all of my ideas for creativity have languished in a limbo unrealized. I'm an occasional poet who has written a respectable number of good poems, some of which have been published. My computer art and photography portfolios contain hundreds of images. Even these videos are proof that ideas I'm committed to make it all the way from concept to finished work. Thoughts themselves can be beautiful in their own right. There's not a thing wrong with creating lovely thoughts, especially thoughts made all the more beautiful by your belief in their beauty and value. But if you want to see those dreams become real, you have to commit to them, to put your belief into practice through action that not only has practical value, but also signals the divine mind that you are engaging as a manifesting co-creator. Push those dreams past the point of no return and watch the universe partner with you to turn thoughts into things. Next time on the Temporal Reverie, we'll take a look at what happens when manifesting doesn't take place, even after you carefully formulate your thoughts, empower them with belief, and invest yourself fully by committing. Is that necessarily a failure, or perhaps does the universe have good reason for not giving us everything we want? I'd like to know what you think about this program. You can write to me at the email address on the screen. My thanks to God for this chance to share with all of you, and may the gifts of love, joy, peace, and enlightenment come to you all.